Okay, so we are in Photopea and we're going to go ahead and open your picture that you just took a picture of either with your Chromebook or with a scanner app. If it's a PDF and not a JPEG, it may look a little bit bigger in here, but no problem. I took my picture with notes on my iPhone and scanned it in, cropped it down, so it's going to put mine in as a PDF. And it's going to look a little larger. I also used notes as a photo. It gives you options if you want to do black and white or color photo. And I selected photo. So now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and start outlining my lines. The thing that you need to look for here is if you look down this side menu bar, you're going to find that there is a line tool. It's down here where you might see the rectangle. It's right underneath the arrow, which is called the Path Select tool. But line is embedded. If you right click on the rectangle, you're going to see this other menu pull up, ellipsis, line, parametric shape, or custom shape. We're going to select line. Now we want to go ahead and tell it what color we want it to be. So we're going to come up to the top right here where it says fill, and we're going to make sure that we've selected black. And for the size of your line, I would like for, in this box where you see the PT, change that to 2.0 and then hit enter. Close our color menu out. If you need to zoom in a little bit more closely, you can hit View, Zoom in. You can go in as close here as you want to actually see the details. This is going to be a little bit easier to outline if you have a mouse. So if you are trying to work from your school Chromebook, that's just fine. Do the best you can do. If you have a mouse for your Chromebook, awesome. Otherwise, if you have access to a desktop at home, you might want to switch over to a desktop computer for Photopea to do this portion. I'm going to start with a shape. I'm zoomed in close, and all I have to do is just click and drag and start clicking and dragging to cover up the lines of your drawing. And our goal is going to be to cover every single line up. Now, I've got a little bit of an issue here because if I tried to come back in and fill this in with color, if I look really carefully, I can see that I've got some holes. I'm going to zoom in really carefully. If I look really carefully right here, I can see there's a little hole right there. That has to be closed up because any kind of a gap, or like right here where I'm seeing a gap, that is going to have to be closed up. But I don't want to draw straight across my other shape. That wouldn't look very good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go around it so that this piece of my box becomes an enclosed shape. So now can you see how, let me zoom out a little bit. Can you see now how this area right in here all becomes one piece? And I'm carefully observing that there are no breaks in my black line because when I go to use the paint bucket and fill this in, if there's any breaks, that color is going to seep right out into the background. Okay, so I think that shape is done. Let's go ahead and zoom in and do the second one that touches. Zoom in again. And to start this one off, I want to go back over those lines again. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, make sure I catch everything, 5, Okay, now we need to merge all of these layers down. Every line that we made just added a new layer over here in the layers menu. And you can see when I scroll, there's tons there. So I'm gonna go all the way to the top. I'm gonna click the first one, and then I'm gonna hold my finger down on Shift and go all the way down to the bottom and click the very last one, not my background picture. All of those become selected. And then when I right click, I'm going to merge layers down. They've all become one layer now. And then the next step is that we're going to rasterize the bottom picture. So click on your bottom picture, your background that I can see right here. That's my original drawing I started with. Right click on that layer and select rasterize. Just like in Chrome Canvas, if you come over to the eyeball and click on and off of your background image, you can now see whether or not you have any other gaps that need to be filled in before you go to adding color. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're on this top layer where you've merged everything together. And then if you look down the side of your toolbar, you'll come to a square. It's called the gradient tool. If you'll right click that gradient tool, you'll see there's a gradient tool, but there's also a paint bucket. We want to select the paint bucket tool. And then we're going to come farther down where we see the colors for paint swatches. I'm going to paint my first shape red. So I'm going to start with a very light color of red, hit OK. And the fronts of my shape are going to be a very light colored red. If I go back and click on the box again, I'm going to go to more of a medium red. And I'm going to make the sides of my object a medium red. Don't forget to hit OK. OK. Side, side, side. And then for the top, I'm going to make it a very deep red. Okay. When I say top, I mean underneath top and underneath the bottom. So from here on out, that's going to be my pattern. My front is going to be the lightest, my sides are going to be the medium, and my underneath is going to be the dark. And I'm going to push my dark even a little bit darker because it's not quite dark enough to create enough contrast there. So, okay, and then I'm going to change these to a little bit darker. And you get a little bit more of a 3D effect that way. I'm going to keep going, choosing different colors. You can slide the bar up and down within the color picker to pick different versions of color. Start with a light for the fronts, jump to a medium for the sides, and your top will be the darkest, top or bottom. And then you're just going to keep going here. Ahead and look for a background. So you want to come to Google Images and then get creative. Think of something that you want to type in for a fun background. I'm looking for a 1-point optical illusion picture that could be interesting. Feel free to choose anything. You don't want to pick anything though that is licensed because it will most likely have writing that goes right over the top of your picture. Plus, that means that image is not available unless you pay for it. So try to avoid using any of those. I've already selected one that I have saved. Feel free to just right click, save image as, and then save that to your Chromebook. If you don't know that you'll remember the name of it, feel free to rename it so that you can find it. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and put that picture in underneath what we just made in our drawing. So I'm going to click on my very bottom layer here, okay? And then I'm going to come up to File, Open and Place. Click that one. Find the picture that you're wanting to use, whatever that might be. I'm going to go with this one. That should plunk it in so that it is right above your sheet of paper that you initially started with and right below your shapes that you have colored on. If it is not letting you select the edges, so once you click on it, if it's not letting you move things around like mine is, that is only because on mine, I have already selected. I had to right click and rasterize first. So do that. And then once you've done that, if it's still not working, look at the top where it says transform controls. Make sure that that is selected because that's what's going to make those handlebars pop up so that you have the ability to slide this around and move it, okay? You can throw that however you want it, and then I'm going to click on my shapes as well. I also have the ability to come in and skew my shapes a little bit so that I can kind of amp up that look that they're coming out of the middle of that background. But depending on what your background is, you may not need to do this step. That is your call. Okay. Okay, my last step that I need to do is to flatten this image so that all three of these layers get smushed together and they all become one. So I'm going to come up to Layer, go all the way down to the bottom and select Flatten Image. It's all become one thing now. And now I can go ahead and export this as a file that I can upload to Schoology because I'm finished with it. So go to File, Export As. You can either select a PNG file or a JPEG. PNG is the preferred method for pictures over JPEG because they come out a little bit more clear. That's your call on this one. We're just kind of introductory into some graphic design stuff. So if you would like to select JPEG, that's fine as well. I would leave your quality at 100%. Don't mess with the width or the height, and save. It should throw it into your downloads, and now you will be able to go into Schoology and upload that file to be graded.